The night sky over Colony 47 was filled with silent flashes of light. From a distance, they looked like stars, but everyone knew they were explosions. The war had reached its final stage, and humans were not supposed to win. At least, that's what every alien commander believed. Inside a half-destroyed bunker, a single human sat alone. His name was Daniel Reed. His armor was cracked, his face covered in dust, and one of his eyes glowed faint blue, a cybernetic replacement that hummed softly every few seconds. The sound was the only proof that he was still alive. Outside, the ground trembled as something massive walked across the battlefield. Daniel looked at his radar screen. There were no human signals left within 10 miles. Only the enemy, machines built by the Verex Dominion, an empire that had erased dozens of planets. They were perfect killers. And Daniel was the only survivor. He pressed a button on his wristband. A weak hologram flickered to life, showing the last message from his commander. If you're hearing this, humanity is lost. Do not surrender. Make them remember us. Daniel stared at the message until it faded. His heart was still beating, slow but steady. I'm not dying here, he whispered. Not today. He grabbed his plasma rifle and stepped outside. The air was thick with ash and the smell of burnt metal. Pieces of broken drones lay everywhere, glowing faintly in the darkness. The silence was heavy, almost unreal. Then a voice spoke through his helmet. Human Unit 27, you are surrounded. Lay down your weapon. Daniel froze. The voice was mechanical but strangely calm. He turned slowly and saw them. 3 tall Verex soldiers, armored in black and silver, moving toward him with precise steps. Their eyes glowed red. You have fought well, the leader said. Surrender and you will be processed. Resistance will end in termination. Daniel smiled faintly. You think I'm scared of dying? The alien tilted its head. All humans fear death. Daniel raised his rifle. Not this one. He fired. The plasma shot hit the alien square in the chest, throwing it backward. The others opened fire, but Daniel was already moving, rolling behind a fallen turret. His suit's battery was nearly empty, but he fought like a man who had nothing left to lose. One alien went down, then another, but the leader rose again, its armor smoking. You cannot win, it said. Daniel's rifle clicked empty. The alien aimed its weapon, and then the ground exploded. Both of them were thrown apart. Daniel's ears rang. His vision blurred. Through the smoke, he saw something glowing under the ground, a small sphere, pulsing with white light. It wasn't human tech. He crawled toward it, drawn by the strange energy. The alien tried to stop him, but the light grew brighter, wrapping Daniel in a shimmering aura. He felt pain, then warmth, then nothing at all. When he opened his eyes, everything was quiet. The alien bodies were gone, burned to ash. The battlefield was still. Daniel looked at his hands. The wounds on his arms had healed. Even the crack in his armor was gone. His suit systems were at full power again. What happened? He whispered. He checked the scanner. No signals, no sound, no movement. But the strange sphere was still there, half buried in the ground, dim now, as if it had given all its energy to him. Daniel touched it carefully. His cybernetic eye flashed white, and a flood of images filled his mind. Stars, unknown worlds, alien scripts, and a voice that wasn't human. You are chosen, the voice said. You will not die until your purpose is complete. Daniel gasped and pulled his hand away. The sphere cracked open and turned to dust. He stood there for a long moment, breathing hard. Somewhere deep inside, he felt something new, a pulse that wasn't his heart, a force that kept him alive. He looked up at the sky. Dozens of Verex ships were descending, their engines burning through the clouds. An entire fleet, coming to finish the job. Daniel smiled again, a tired but determined smile. Guess I get another round, he said quietly. He loaded his spare weapon and started walking toward the ruins. Every step felt lighter. Every breath stronger. The man who had been dying a few minutes ago now felt unstoppable. And far above, aboard the Varex command ship, an alien officer stared at the scanner in disbelief. "Commander, the human signal has reappeared." "Impossible," the commander replied. "All humans were eliminated." "Then how do you explain this?" "The same ID. Same heartbeat. But his vitals, they're off the charts." The commander leaned forward. "Locate him. I want that human alive." But Daniel Reed was already on the move, deeper into the wasteland, where something far more dangerous than the Varex was waiting. He didn't know it yet, but the gift he had received wasn't just saving his life, it was changing what it meant to be human. And the universe was about to learn that the one thing harder than killing a human was killing a human who refused to die. The wind blew hard across the wasteland, carrying dust and the smell of burnt fuel. Daniel Reed walked slowly, his armor now glowing faintly from the strange energy inside him. The world around him was dead, broken tanks, twisted machines, and black smoke rising in the distance. He didn't know where he was going. He only knew one thing: he could not stop. The memory of that glowing sphere still burned in his mind. It had saved him, healed him, and filled him with something powerful. But he didn't understand what it was. His radio cracked suddenly. "Reed. Daniel Reed, do you copy?" Daniel froze. A voice. A human voice. He pressed the side of his helmet. "This is Reed. Who's there?" "You're alive. Thank God. This is Dr. Mira Solon, Science Division. We thought everyone was gone." Daniel stopped walking. "Where are you?" "Underground shelter, Sector 9. Coordinates transmitting now. Hurry, Varex forces are scanning for survivors." The signal faded, but the message was clear. He wasn't the last human after all. There were others. Daniel checked his map. Sector 9 was 15 kilometers east, deep inside enemy territory. He took a deep breath and started moving. As he walked, the ground under his feet began to shake. He stopped and looked around. The air shimmered, and out of the dust came something huge, an 8-legged machine, tall as a building, its eyes glowing red. A Varex hunter drone. It had been sent to clean the battlefield, destroy any life signs left behind. Daniel ran. The machine turned, its metal legs pounding the ground. Energy blasts shot past him, burning holes in the dirt. He rolled behind a broken tank and took cover. His pulse was racing, but strangely, his body didn't feel tired. His wounds didn't ache. He felt faster, stronger. He aimed his rifle and fired at the drone's head. The shots hit, but the armor barely cracked. The machine roared and turned its massive gun toward him. "Think, Daniel," he muttered. "Come on, think." He spotted a pile of fuel cells half buried in the dirt. If he could hit them, the explosion might be enough. He waited for the right moment, then ran out, sliding on the ground as the drone fired again. The beam missed him by inches. He aimed at the fuel cells, and fired. The explosion tore through the air like thunder. Fire and smoke filled the sky. The drone stumbled, half its body gone. But it wasn't dead. It turned its head toward Daniel, crawling forward with burning limbs. Daniel picked up a fallen steel rod and ran straight at it. The machine tried to crush him, but he jumped onto its leg, climbing like a soldier who had nothing to lose. He reached the top and jammed the steel rod into its eye. The drone screamed, sparks flying. Then it collapsed, shaking the ground as it died. Daniel fell to the dirt, gasping for breath. The blue glow in his chest pulsed brighter. He felt pain, but only for a second. Then the pain was gone. His heartbeat steadied again. "What are you turning me into?" he whispered to himself. He looked up. The explosion had sent a signal flare high into the sky. Anyone nearby would see it, including the Varex. He didn't have much time. He started running again. Hours passed as he crossed the ruins of old cities, buildings broken like bones, roads split open, and strange glowing plants growing through the cracks. The world didn't look human anymore. When he finally reached the coordinates, he found a metal door hidden under a rock hill. It was half buried, but the scanner on his wrist beeped softly. This was the place. He knocked twice, then spoke into the small mic beside the door. "This is Daniel Reed. You called me." There was silence for a few seconds, then the door creaked open. A woman stepped out, tall, wearing a white uniform covered in dust. Her eyes widened when she saw him. "Impossible," she whispered. "You should be dead." Daniel smiled slightly. "I get that a lot." She stared at his armor, noticing the faint light coming from under the plates. "What happened to you?" "I don't know," he said. "But it's keeping me alive." She led him inside. The underground shelter was small but alive. 3 humans, a few drones, and old machines running on backup power. It was the last human outpost on Colony 47. Mira looked at him seriously. "Daniel, that energy inside you, it's not human technology. We were studying something similar before the invasion. We called it the core essence. It's said to rewrite life itself." Daniel frowned. "Rewrite life?" She nodded. "It can heal, rebuild, even reshape. But no human has ever survived contact with it." Daniel looked down at his hands, glowing faintly blue. "Until now." Suddenly, alarms screamed. The lights turned red. One of the soldiers ran in. "Varek's ships. They've found us." Myra's face went pale. "How?" "We were shielded." Daniel's cybernetic eye flashed. He could see movement above, multiple heat signatures closing fast. He turned to Mira. "Get everyone to the lower tunnels. I'll hold them off." "You can't fight them alone," she said. He looked at her calmly. "You don't understand, Doctor. I'm not sure I can die anymore." Before she could reply, Daniel grabbed his rifle and ran toward the surface. The ground shook as alien ships landed above. The sky turned red with fire and dust. Daniel stepped out into the storm, his armor glowing brighter than ever. The Varek soldiers surrounded him again, hundreds of them, weapons raised. Their commander stepped forward. "Human, you should not exist." Daniel's blue eyes burned like fire. "Get used to it." He raised his weapon as lightning flashed across the sky. The battle for humanity's last hope was about to begin. And deep inside him, the core essence pulsed again, stronger, faster, like something alive. The war was far from over. It was only just beginning. The air was burning. The sky above the wasteland flashed with red light as the Varek's dropships landed, one after another, shaking the ground like thunder. Daniel stood alone in front of the human shelter, watching the enemy surround him in every direction. Dozens of armored aliens aimed their glowing rifles at him. Their leader, tall and covered in dark steel plates, stepped forward. Its voice echoed like metal scraping metal. "Human, your resistance ends here." Daniel didn't move. His armor glowed faintly blue, the strange light pulsing under his skin. "I heard that before," he said quietly. "Didn't end well for your friends." The commander raised a hand. Fire. Beams of red energy cut through the air. The ground exploded around Daniel, but he didn't fall. The blasts hit his armor and burned away the outer layers, but his body healed instantly, the blue light wrapping around him like a living shield. The aliens stopped firing for a moment. Their scanners beeped in confusion. "His vitals are stable," one soldier said. "He's regenerating." Daniel's eyes glowed brighter. "My turn." He lifted his rifle and fired. Each shot hit with deadly precision. 3 Varek soldiers went down, their armor cracking under the impact. Daniel moved like lightning, faster than human reflex should allow. The energy from the core essence fueled his every step. But the enemy kept coming. There were too many. The air filled with smoke and burning metal. Daniel dived behind the wreck of an old ship as more blasts rained down. Inside the bunker, Mira and the remaining humans watched from the cameras. "He's holding them off," one whispered. "He's unstoppable." Mira wasn't sure. She looked at the energy readings from Daniel's suit. The numbers were climbing. Too fast. The core essence was growing stronger every second, almost like it was feeding off the battle. Outside, Daniel pushed forward again. He grabbed a fallen Verex weapon and fired it back at the enemy, sending a wave of energy that tore through their front line. The explosion sent dust high into the air. Then he heard it, a deep humming sound coming from above. He looked up. A massive Verex warship hovered overhead, its cannons charging. It was the same ship that had destroyed entire cities. The commander shouted, "End this! Fire the main cannon!" Daniel knew he couldn't outrun that blast. He looked back toward the shelter's hidden door. Mira and the others were still inside. If the cannon fired, they'd all die. He dropped his weapon, clenched his fists and whispered, "Not again." The blue light in his chest flared. His armor cracked open, releasing streams of glowing energy. His cybernetic eye turned white. For a second, everything went silent. Then the ground erupted. A shockwave burst from Daniel, pushing everything away, rocks, dust, even alien soldiers. The Verex warship fired, but the beam hit the glowing field around him and split apart, scattering harmlessly into the sky. Daniel screamed as the power surged through him. He felt like his body was breaking apart and rebuilding itself at the same time. The core essence was no longer inside him, it was him. The energy spread out in waves, melting the sand and shattering alien armor. One by one, the Verex soldiers disintegrated, their metal bodies turning to ash. Inside the bunker, Mira covered her face as the monitors exploded from the energy surge. "Daniel!" she shouted into the comms. "Stop. You'll kill yourself." But Daniel couldn't hear her. The world around him was pure light and sound. His memories flashed, his home, his team, the first attack, the moment he touched the sphere. All of it rushed through his mind like fire. And then, silence again. When the light faded, Daniel was kneeling in the center of a wide crater. The battlefield was gone. Nothing but dust and burned metal remained. The warship above was falling apart, its engines dead. It crashed far away in a burst of smoke. Daniel looked at his hands. They were shaking. The glow was fading, leaving faint lines of blue under his skin. He felt weak but alive. The bunker door opened behind him. Mira and two survivors came out slowly, their faces pale. They looked around, speechless. "You did this," one of them whispered. Daniel stood up. "It wasn't me," he said softly. "It was the thing inside me." Mira approached carefully. "Daniel, you released an energy burst equal to a city's reactor. You could have destroyed yourself." He shook his head. "It didn't let me die. I tried." She looked at him with fear and fascination. "The core essence isn't just keeping you alive, it's changing you." Daniel looked up at the sky. The smoke was clearing, revealing the stars above. For the first time in years, they looked peaceful. But he knew it wouldn't last. Far in orbit, beyond the destroyed ship, more Verex fleets were arriving. He could feel them. Somehow, the core essence let him sense their presence. "They're coming," he said. "Bigger ships. Stronger ones." Mira looked at him. "Then we have to run. Hide." Daniel turned to her. "No. If I run, they'll find you. This ends when I end it." She grabbed his arm. "You can't fight the whole Dominion alone." He looked at her with calm eyes. "I already did once." For a moment, they stood in silence. Then Daniel walked toward the horizon, where the remains of the warship still burned. The blue light under his skin flickered like a heartbeat. Behind him, Mira whispered, "What are you becoming?" Daniel didn't answer. He just looked at the stars and said quietly, "Something they can't kill." As he disappeared into the smoke, a faint sound echoed through the wind. A whisper, almost like the voice from the sphere again. "Your purpose is not complete." Daniel stopped for a second. He looked up, his face hard but determined. Then I'll find out what it is. The night swallowed him again. The legend of the human who refused to die was only beginning. The wind had died down. The battlefield was empty, save for smoldering metal and scorched earth. Daniel walked alone through the ruins, his blue energy pulsing faintly beneath his skin. Every step felt heavier than before, yet stronger at the same time. The core essence inside him was no longer just power, it was awareness. It whispered, guided him, and sometimes frightened him. He didn't know how far he had gone when he saw it, a strange structure half buried in the sand. It looked ancient, alien, completely untouched by the HFY War. Its walls shimmered faintly with the same energy that ran through Daniel. He approached cautiously. As he touched the surface, images flashed through his mind. Galaxies colliding, stars being born, strange alien symbols forming patterns he could somehow read. It wasn't just visions, it was knowledge. The core essence was showing him something. A voice whispered again, soft and almost human. This is your purpose. To awaken. To become more than human. Daniel stumbled back. I don't understand, he said aloud. I'm just me. The structure vibrated, and a beam of light shot from the ground, surrounding him. His vision blurred, and for a moment, he was everywhere at once. He saw the universe, distant worlds, the HFY Dominion's fleets, and countless humans who had died. Every life. Every death. When he opened his eyes, he was still on the desert surface, but something had changed. His senses were sharper. He could hear the faint hum of the HFY's ships orbiting far above. He could feel the core essence moving, almost like a heartbeat that wasn't his own. Then he heard it, a voice through his cybernetic implant. It wasn't from a human or a HFY. It was older, wiser, and cold. You are not fully human, Daniel read. You are a vessel. A seed. And the Dominion will come for you. Daniel clenched his fists. Then they'll find out they can't kill me. Far above, in orbit, the HFY's fleet had detected unusual energy readings. The commander of the Dominion's armada frowned at the monitors. The human. It is changing. It should be dead. How is it still alive? A younger officer spoke nervously. Sir, readings suggest the human has absorbed an unknown energy. It's mutating, evolving, possibly weaponizing itself. The commander's eyes narrowed. Do not underestimate it. Send the retrieval squads. Capture it alive. It may hold the key to something greater. Daniel didn't wait. He knew the HFY wouldn't stop. Every second he lingered was a chance for them to strike. He focused on the horizon, feeling the core essence flowing through his veins. It pulsed with intelligence now, like it was teaching him, guiding him. He didn't just feel stronger, he understood. Hours passed as he navigated the desert, avoiding patrols and scanning for safe zones. He came across a canyon, hidden from sensors. Inside, he found signs of life, small shelters built into the rocks. Humans, like ghosts, had survived here, hiding from the HFY. Hello. Daniel called softly. The humans froze. A young girl stepped forward, holding a makeshift weapon. Her eyes widened at the sight of Daniel's glowing armor. She whispered. You're the one who survived the fall of Colony 47. Daniel nodded. I am. And I'm here to help. They hesitated, unsure whether to trust him. Myra's voice crackled in his comms. Daniel, remember, you can't save everyone at once. The core essence will guide you, but you must be careful. It's powerful, yes, but even it can be dangerous if you lose control. Daniel lowered his hands. I know. But I won't run. Not anymore. The humans followed him as he moved toward the canyon's exit. They were weak, tired, but alive. And Daniel realized something. He wasn't just surviving for himself. He was surviving for them. For humanity. Suddenly, the sky above the canyon darkened. Shadows of alien ships crossed the horizon. The core essence pulsed violently in Daniel's chest. He could feel the Varex commander's presence, calculating, waiting. "They're coming," he said. The humans looked at him in fear. "What do we do?" one asked. Daniel's eyes glowed brighter than ever. "We fight," he said calmly. "And we survive. No matter what they throw at us." Above, the Dominion fleet adjusted its orbit. They would strike soon. But the human who refused to die was no longer just a man. He was something more, a force they had never anticipated, something that could change the fate of the galaxy. And somewhere deep inside the core essence, something stirred. Something ancient. Something awake. "Prepare yourself, Daniel Reed," the whisper said. "Your journey is only beginning. The Dominion will learn. A human who refuses to die is unstoppable." Daniel clenched his fists again. The wind howled through the canyon. Dust and sand swirled around him like fire. The battle ahead would be unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. He took a deep breath, his armor glowing, his heart steady. "Let them come," he muttered. "They'll see what it means to fight a human who refuses to die." The sun dipped behind the mountains, casting long shadows across the desert. And as darkness fell, Daniel and the last survivors of humanity prepared for the storm that was coming, the storm that would decide the future of every human alive. The sun had set, leaving the canyon in darkness. Shadows stretched long and thin over the rocky walls. Daniel Reed stood at the edge of the canyon, his armor glowing faintly blue, pulsing with energy that felt alive. Behind him, the last survivors of humanity huddled, scared but determined. Daniel could feel it, the Varex fleet approaching. The core essence inside him pulsed like a second heartbeat, warning him, guiding him, demanding that he prepare. His senses had sharpened beyond human limits. He could hear the faint whir of distant ships, the vibrations of enemy weapons charging, even the rhythm of the human's nervous breathing behind him. "They're here," he said calmly. Mira stepped forward. "Daniel, they're thousands. We can't fight that." Daniel looked at her, his glowing eyes steady. "We don't fight like humans anymore. Not me. Not tonight." Above, the first Varex dropships pierced the night sky. Thousands of armored soldiers poured out, their red sensors scanning for movement. They didn't see Daniel yet. He was faster, smarter, stronger. He moved like a shadow, weaving between rocks, leaving faint blue afterimages behind. The first soldiers reached the canyon floor, their weapons aimed. Daniel struck. He didn't use his rifle. Instead, energy erupted from his body like a storm. The core essence flowed outward in waves, throwing soldiers off their feet, bending metal, and short-circuiting alien machinery. The humans gasped, unable to believe what they were seeing. One of them whispered, "It's like he's a god." Daniel didn't have time for words. The energy pulsed again, stronger this time. Soldiers tried to regroup, firing their weapons, but the bullets and energy beams bent in the glowing aura around him, harmlessly deflecting into the canyon walls. He could feel it now. The core essence wasn't just protecting him. It was transforming him. His muscles burned with energy, his mind sharper than any computer, his body faster than any machine. He could predict movements, dodge attacks before they happened, strike with precision that no human could match. Above, the Varex commander observed from the flagship. "It cannot be. This human is evolving. Deploy the Annihilator drones. All units, converge." Daniel's cybernetic eye picked up the signals. Hundreds of drones were dropping from orbit, each one armed with heavy plasma cannons. He braced himself. This was not just a fight. It was a test of his limits. The drones hit the canyon floor like meteors. Explosions rocked the ground, throwing Daniel and the humans off their feet. Dust and debris filled the air. But Daniel rose, glowing brighter than ever. His arms flared with white-blue energy. The core essence responded to his will. He raised a hand. The air around him bent, forming a shimmering dome of energy. The drones fired, but the blasts stopped in midair, frozen as if time itself obeyed him. Then, in a single motion, Daniel thrust his hands forward. The energy exploded outward in a shockwave, tearing drones apart, scattering soldiers, and throwing the canyon walls into rubble. Mira screamed from behind the rocks. "Daniel! Don't push it too far." Daniel's eyes glowed white. "I'm not holding back." He sprinted forward, faster than any human could move, cutting through the surviving soldiers with precise energy strikes. The core essence flowed through him like a weapon and shield combined. Every step left glowing footprints, every strike left scorched marks. The Verex commander's voice came through the comms. "This human, it cannot be destroyed. Prepare the quantum disruptor." Daniel paused, sensing something massive approaching. Far above, a huge cannon descended from the flagship, glowing with energy that could wipe out the canyon in seconds. But Daniel smiled. The core essence surged inside him, pulsing stronger than ever. He didn't fear death, he barely even thought of it. He placed both hands on the ground. Energy erupted in waves that raced toward the cannon, striking it before it could fire. Sparks, flames, and a thunderous roar filled the air. The Verex fleet faltered, retreating slightly in fear. They had never seen a human move like this. Mira ran toward him. "Daniel, it's too much. You'll burn out." He looked at her, glowing brighter, almost blinding. "Then I'll burn, to save them all." Above, the core essence pulsed. It wasn't just survival anymore. It was power, awareness, and purpose. Daniel was becoming something new. Something the Dominion could never predict, never control. And somewhere deep in space, far above the canyon, the Verex commander realized a terrifying truth. The human who refused to die was no longer just human. He was evolution. And the Dominion was about to face a force that could destroy entire fleets, without breaking a sweat. The night air was thick with smoke and energy. The canyon had become a battlefield, scarred by explosions, torn metal, and scorched earth. Daniel Reed stood at the center, glowing brighter than ever. The core essence inside him pulsed, stronger and more alive than it had ever been. He could feel it now, not just power but thought, intelligence, even purpose. It whispered, guiding him, testing him, stretching him beyond human limits. He raised his hands, sending waves of energy rippling through the canyon. The Verex soldiers screamed as their weapons bent, melted, or simply failed to function in his presence. Mira ran up beside him, her eyes wide. "Daniel, you're different. What's happening to you?" Daniel's glowing eyes met hers. "I'm becoming what I was meant to be. The core essence isn't just keeping me alive, it's making me stronger, smarter, unstoppable." Above the canyon, the Dominion fleet trembled. The Verex commander realized that the human wasn't just a survivor. It had evolved. The energy signature readings were off the charts. No human, no machine, no weapon had ever reached this level. "Prepare the quantum eradicator," the commander ordered. "Terminate it. All units, attack." The ships fired. Massive beams of energy tore across the sky, converging on the canyon like a deadly storm. Daniel didn't flinch. The core essence responded instantly, forming a protective dome around him and the humans behind him. The beams struck the energy shield, exploding in showers of sparks and fire. Daniel felt the pulse of every weapon, every ship, every Verex soldier in the area. It was as if the core essence had linked him to the battlefield itself. He could sense the flow of energy, the patterns of attack, the weaknesses of the enemy. He stepped forward, and with a wave of his hand, he sent a pulse that knocked dozens of ships out of orbit, spinning them into debris. The Dominion commander stared at the monitors in disbelief. "Impossible. It should be dead. All protocols fail." Daniel turned to Mira and the humans. "Get to safety. Now." They obeyed, running toward the canyon tunnels. Daniel stayed behind, his body glowing brighter, energy spilling from him in waves. He felt the core essence growing restless. It wanted more. It wanted to evolve further, to reach its full potential. Suddenly, he saw it, an enormous alien craft, unlike anything he had ever seen. It hovered above the canyon, pulsing with dark energy. The Dominion's flagship was small compared to it. The core essence reacted immediately, as if recognizing a rival, a predator. A voice echoed in Daniel's mind, older and colder than any he had heard before. You are not ready, human. But you carry the spark we cannot control. The galaxy will bend, or break, by your hand. Daniel clenched his fists. I'm ready. I'll finish this. The massive ship fired a beam that tore through the canyon walls. Rocks exploded, dust filled the air, and the humans behind him screamed. Daniel raised his arms. The core essence expanded outward, a blinding sphere of blue-white energy that engulfed the canyon. The beam hit the sphere and splintered into harmless fragments. He felt himself changing. His muscles, his mind, even his heart was no longer purely human. The core essence had rewritten him. He could think faster than any human, move faster than any machine, and survive anything the Verax threw at him. Then the voice spoke again, softer this time, almost approving. You are more than a human. You are the guardian. The spark of life the Dominion cannot extinguish. Daniel's eyes glowed fully white. Energy flowed from him like rivers of light, carving glowing patterns into the canyon floor. He felt power that could destroy fleets, or create worlds. The Verax ships began to retreat, sensing a force beyond their understanding. He looked up at the massive alien craft. I don't want to destroy your fleet, he said aloud. I want to end this war. The core essence pulsed, and Daniel focused. The alien craft shuddered as energy waves struck it. Panels melted, engines overloaded, and its shields collapsed. The Dominion commander's voice crackled in panic. It cannot be. Terminate the human. Now. But it was too late. Daniel stepped forward, fully embracing the core essence. A final pulse erupted, engulfing the ship. When the light faded, the craft was gone, reduced to fragments drifting through the sky. The remaining Verax ships hesitated and fled, unwilling to face a human who had become something beyond life and death. Daniel dropped to his knees, exhausted but alive. Mira and the humans ran to him. Daniel, what are you now? He looked at his hands, glowing faintly, energy still humming beneath his skin. I'm still human, he said quietly. But the core essence, it's teaching me what humans can become. And I won't stop until every last one of them knows freedom. Above the canyon, the stars shone brighter. Somewhere in the galaxy, the Dominion commander watched and realized the terrifying truth. The human who refused to die was no longer just a survivor. He was evolution itself. And soon, the galaxy would see what that truly meant. The desert night was silent, except for the faint hum of energy radiating from Daniel Reed. The canyon was scarred from battles, the ground cracked and blackened. He stood at the center, his armor glowing brighter than ever, his body pulsing with the strange, living energy of the core essence. It was no longer just protection. It was awareness. Daniel could feel the battlefield around him, sense the movements of the remaining Verax soldiers, and hear the thrum of distant ships far above. The core essence was teaching him, pushing him beyond human limits. Mira approached cautiously, her eyes wide with both awe and fear. Daniel, it's too much. You're changing. You're not just surviving anymore. Daniel's glowing eyes met hers. I know, and I can feel it. The core essence, it's giving me something more than life. It's giving me purpose. Far above the canyon, the Dominion fleet adjusted its formation. The Verax commander's eyes narrowed at the monitors. Impossible, he said, voice tight. The human, it should be dead. Its energy readings are unprecedented. All units, target it. Capture it alive if you can. Daniel didn't wait. The soldiers on the canyon floor advanced, weapons glowing red. He could hear their steps, their breath, even the metallic hum of their armor. With a movement too fast for human eyes, he struck. Energy erupted from his body in waves, knocking soldiers off their feet, bending metal, and short-circuiting their weapons. The humans behind him gasped. One whispered, "It's like he's a god." Daniel moved through the battlefield like a storm. The core essence flowed through him, responding to his every thought. He could predict enemy movements, dodge blasts before they fired, and strike with precision that no human could achieve. Every strike left glowing marks in the sand, a trail of light and fire. Above, the Dominion commander's voice trembled. "Deploy the quantum eradicator. Now. This human cannot be allowed to live." The sky lit up as massive ships fired concentrated beams toward the canyon. Daniel raised his hands, forming a protective dome of energy. The beams struck the shield but splintered, harmless. He felt the core essence expand, linking him to the battlefield, the humans, the land itself. He could feel the ships, the soldiers, the weapons, even the commander's thoughts. It was as if the core essence had made him part of the universe around him. Then he saw it, a massive alien craft, larger than any ship he had seen, pulsing with dark energy. The core essence pulsed in response, alerting him. The voice from the sphere whispered again in his mind, older and colder than ever. "You are not ready, human. Yet you carry the spark we cannot control. The galaxy will bend, or break, by your hand." Daniel clenched his fists. "I'm ready," he said aloud. "I will finish this." The massive ship fired. The beam tore through the canyon walls. Rocks exploded, dust filled the air, and the humans screamed. Daniel raised his arms. Energy erupted, forming a blinding sphere that engulfed the canyon. The beam struck and shattered, harmless. He felt himself changing. His muscles, his mind, his heart, everything was rewritten by the core essence. He could think faster than any computer, move faster than any machine, survive attacks that would kill armies. The whisper returned, approving this time. "You are more than a human. You are the guardian. The spark the Dominion cannot extinguish." Daniel's eyes glowed white. Energy surged around him, carving glowing patterns into the canyon floor. The Varex soldiers tried to regroup, but fear froze them in place. He looked at Mira and the humans. "Get to safety. I'll handle this," he said. She grabbed his arm. "Daniel, you can't. This is too dangerous." He shook his head. "I've survived everything. I'm not stopping now." Daniel stepped forward. Energy exploded from his body like a storm. Ships trembled above. The massive alien craft shuddered, panels melting, engines overloading, shields collapsing. The Dominion commander's voice came through the comms, trembling with fear. "Terminate it. Impossible." Daniel focused. The core essence obeyed. A final pulse erupted, engulfing the ship in a wave of blue-white light. When the light faded, the craft was gone, shredded into debris. The remaining Varex ships retreated, unwilling to face a human who had become something beyond life and death. Daniel sank to his knees, exhausted but alive. Mira and the humans approached. "Daniel, what are you now?" she asked, awestruck. He looked at his glowing hands. "I'm still human," he said softly. "But the core essence, it's teaching me what humans can become. I won't stop until every last one of them knows freedom." Above, the stars shone brightly. The Dominion commander watched in horror. The human who refused to die had become evolution itself. And somewhere deep inside, the core essence pulsed, ancient and aware. "Your journey is only beginning," it whispered. "The Dominion will learn. A human who refuses to die is unstoppable." Daniel stood, his armor glowing, energy humming through the canyon. The last survivors followed him, knowing that with him, they had hope. The storm was not over. The war was far from finished. But for the first time in a long time, humanity had a chance. And Daniel Reed was ready for whatever came next.